Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. The last one before the international break kicks in. We're at that dreaded time of year again, but there's certainly some joy in here, mainly coming from the man in red. That's me, because there have been some bumpy results. It was an action-packed weekend of Premier League football, and I'm really looking forward to unpacking it with you boys tonight. We're going to talk about the manager merry-go-round, Antonio Conte's managerial debut. We'll speak about West Ham and Arsenal flying the flag in London. We'll talk about the Fantasy Premier League, only because I had a good week this week. And, of course, we've got Robbie here who is in blue tonight. I wonder if that was a decision to reflect the Manchester derby, because Manchester is certainly blue. As always, I'm joined by my main man, Robbie. RJ, you know these guys. You love them. Robbie, how are you, dude?
Yeah, I'm good, boys. Always looking forward, even after a crap result. I'm still in good spirits and always looking forward to talking football with you lads.
Love it. RJ?
Always good to be back. Look, despite the indifferent result, and Robbie, I know you're a bit hurting, mate, after the Manchester derby, but how good was it to see you meet up with your Manchester United Sydney crew at the City? I felt, you know what, I thought to myself, he's going to have a pretty sore result after this, but at least he's in good company and you can all sober it up together. How was that experience, man?
Oh, look, boys, that was the highlight of my week. I said it beforehand. I think everyone was just, in general, looking forward to just the meet up, just post-COVID, just to see people not over a screen for a change, have a few beers, talk United, have a feed. Just the event was really good, man. And like I said, I think half of us went in there thinking that a result was going to be hard done by on the night. But like I said, it's just the atmosphere and the togetherness of the club and the supporters. So, look, man, I had a great night. It was a long night. By the time I got home, it was 3. So, and I was a bit sunburned from the day during the day. I was at a little party the day. So it was a big day for me. Like I said, the result obviously was a terrible one, but the event in general was worth it, mate. I'll do it again.
Beautiful. And that's what I like to see. And speaking of things we like to see, let's give a big welcome to those who've already made their way into the virtual IFT lounge this evening. We have Tom from the United podcast. Good to see you, Tom. I'm sure you're like Robbie, feeling the blues or feeling the reds, perhaps. Davide, good to see you, champion. We'll talk about Leeds, of course, and how they fared over the weekend. My blues brother, Daniel, nice to see you, my man. Always good to have you back in the house. Declared is in the house. Good morning. Rob has his mo in the wrong spot. Oh, he's cheeky, that Declared. I tell you what, you can't skip a beat with him. And Legs of Rooney. Good to have Legs of Rooney about in the house. And also our Portuguese brother from another mother, David Da Silva. The special one, the Portuguese player. It's good stuff, boys. But look, enough mucking around. Let's dive straight into it. And the big ticket was the game of the weekend was obviously the Manchester derby. Without further ado, I think it's only right, Scott, you and I will park this one for a moment and let Rob have a cathartic experience. Tell us, Rob, where did it go wrong? And try to keep it under an hour, mate.
Where did it go wrong? Where didn't it go wrong? Probably a more shorter version.
That's it. Look, moving on to the next one. No, just kidding.
Yeah, hard. Look, we were terrible. That was probably the worst performance I've seen from United nearly ever, man. Right up there with, like I said, we were talking at the pub and we're saying about the 6-1 against City. We're talking about the 5-0 against Liverpool the other week. This one felt double worse than both those results, man. Just City literally just toyed with us, man. And, like everyone says, form goes out the window for a derby. And I think a lot of us were thinking the boys will be up for it. It's a derby. Like, it doesn't matter where we are on the table or the form we're in. You just, you get all hyped up thinking it's Manchester derby, pride's on the line, passion's on the line. No, I did not see any of that with any of those players on Saturday night. Just gutless, mate. If you have a look at the formations for starters, man, City, those front 6, Gundogan, Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Jesus, Bernardo Silva, Rodri. Mate, I feel like we're playing Barcelona B team at one point. They killed us, mate. The passing, the moving, the intricate triangles. They were honestly toying with us, man. We just had nothing in return. It didn't help after 6 minutes. Eric Bailly puts the ball in his own net. Look, you can't
That
blame
was
anyone
a
for that.
slash and a half, wasn't it? What was that?
Hit the nail on the head. That's just terrible defending. And you know what, mate? I think for me, nearly the Luke Shaw one was worse, mate. I was absolutely blowing up when I seen that. For him to not know there's someone behind him, number one, Bernardo Silva is half the size of him. For him to
Stop,
sneak
Robbie,
around,
stop.
Scott's
You know how
dying.
you just
bad
said
move.
for him to not know there's someone behind him, and your
Oh.
dad's been standing there eating chips or something.
I didn't.
You know what? But that's Manchester United in a bottle, isn't it? Positional awareness. It's like I thought you were Luke Shaw there, Robbie. I didn't know what was happening. But just quickly, because that second goal, everybody's blaming De Gea. But for me, I'd actually say Shaw was more culpable because how can you not know someone's ghosting behind you? Why don't you just stop? Like, be safe and just keep running. It was 2 more meters. Just keep going.
His hands up. He's put his hands up like I'm leaving it, like it's going out for a goal kick. Mate, that's criminal. You have to put your chest on. You have to put your foot on. You have to make sure that that's not in the field of places.
Make sure. I like that pun.
Yeah, make sure.
That's right.
I don't blame De Gea at all for that. I know I got him near post, but I think that was just he didn't think Luke would let that go, or he didn't think Bernardo Silva was going to get to that. Look, man, I said before the game, I think City's going to have 600 plus passes here, mate. They ended up having 850 passes. They were just completely dominant. Like, as the stats say, we had 2 shots against De Gea, which was more against our own goalkeeper than we did against their keeper. So, look, I think I've summed it up, mate. We were terrible. Nothing went our way, and it was just a spineless, gutless performance, man. And it just, we're called Manchester United, and I didn't see any unity in that team at all on the weekend.
Manchester divided, Scott. But we all heard after the game, and I'm sure you would have caught some of Roy Keane's rants along with Micah Richards and Graham Souness. And the problem, what I can see is, obviously, we can all recognise that Ollie's not the greatest tactical mastermind in our age, but there seems to be this great divide as to all this finger pointing. Some are pointing at Ollie. The old legends are pointing at the players for not standing up and taking ownership of their roles. But where do you see it, Scott? Is it just more of the same here, or is it just, what is it, mate? What do you think from an outsider point of view?
Before we jump into it as well, don't forget to smash that like button, guys. Every like you put in the video helps it to get seen, helps us to grow. So, please make sure you hit that like button. For me, I feel like a broken record with United. It's actually really sad to see Robbie so broken. I'm past the point of banter now. I feel like the Glazers are terrible, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. When they snatched Ronaldo from the jaws of Manchester City, so many. I'm not talking about our kind of core group of Man United listeners and people like Rob, but plenty of United fans were so quiet. There was no heat on the Glazers, and you probably remember I said on here, I said, where's all the Glazer energy gone? Our fans are doing it at the moment with the Cronkies. Josh Cronky's done an interview. We're in tremendous form, so it's a massive Cronky love fest. Those Glazers have the perfect battering ram in Ollie. They know that he's going to absorb the brunt. They'll get rid of him at some point, put someone else in, and then they've got a new battering ram. They need to aim for the ownership group because that ownership group is terrible. That club is in disarray, and I think that the biggest crime the Glazers have committed of recent is that they've not got rid of Ollie. Because if you have ambition, you've seen that they are not improving, that they are starting to slip behind, and there is more than enough time in this season, if you get the right man at the helm, to get back in the title race. You've seen that with Arsenal, who are getting relegated. We're now 6 points off the top.
But it's just who is the right man.
But that's what I mean. There's no organisation. There's no having a look in front. Right now, if we were to sack him now, which, yes, he should be sacked, there's no one I would confidently feel like saying, yes, I think he's going to move us to the next level. I've heard Rodgers. I've heard Zidane. I've heard Ten Hag. I've heard a few names floating around. If I'm being honest, none of those names excite me. No one's going to say, oh, yeah, I'm excited. I think we're going to go to the next level with any of those coaches. Again, I think we've missed the boat on Conte. I really think he could have taken it. He could have really tying us up at the back. He's got the experience. I thought he really would have put a rocket up, where, and he would have got a tune out of this team. But none of those other three that I just mentioned give me any confidence. So for me, I'm more worried about not just now, but the future, because even if, for me, Ollie's going to get this season unless it gets really, really bad.
Do you think, Rob, though, like you said, none of those names excite me, who's available, who's not available, but is it more of a matter of, who's the lesser of the two evils? Do you continue to go down the route that's not working, or do you take a punt on someone that might not be exciting, but should do a better job? It's just, what do you think?
Boys, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, and that's what United are doing. It's a cycle of disappointment. I tipped that squad when I saw that squad at the start of the year. In our prediction show, I know I tipped them quite high. I thought they were going to be really driving this title challenge. But you know what? They need to make the change. It's not going to happen with Ollie. And I kind of now see Robbie's point, and people like Tom as well, that he has improved them. He's taken them from, a C to a B, but they're not going to get to an A under Ollie. This is his ceiling. And the sad thing for him is...
We agree with that now. But that's what I mean. If he was to be sacked in this international break, if you're a United fan, obviously you're not, who do you think would you be happy with at the moment?
Any of those guys except for Ollie. Anyone except him at the moment.
But why?
Look at the two ones who've got fired recently, right? You've got Dean Smith, you've got Farke, you've got Nuno, you've got obviously the likes of Zidane waiting in the wings. When you factor in all these people, the $1 million question is, would any of these people in the same position deliver a better return than Ollie at this moment? Yes or no? It's a question mark. You know what I mean? But look, we're going to continue to debate. It's crazy though, because you look at the international break as the ideal time normally, because what you do have is up to 2 weeks to start working on your methods, even though it's not a whole season. It's better than coming in 3 days before your next game like Tottenham 100%. Have done with Conte. So to be honest with you, they haven't made their move now. We've all heard the headlines about they have no intention to get rid of him unless some really dire results against Watford start coming. But you think, traditionally speaking, if they haven't made the move now, unless they start losing 5-0 every week on in, it's until they mathematically can't qualify for top 4, you just think that they're winning the balance sheet battle. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where they don't seem to care about the finish unless it becomes hitting their pocket. So, look, it's a bit of a dangerous situation that they're playing at the moment, but the season's still salvageable, like Scott said. But look, let's move on to some other games now. And look, one that I wanted to bring up first, while Scott, you look, or should we call you Pablo for the rest of the segment and for the month? Maybe you should. Well, just for a bit of background, Scott's doing the Movember challenge, so he's not trying to be Pablo Escobar for those who want to ask what's going on there. But you can be. Well, tell you what you can be is you can be pretty happy with how your team's going at the moment. Let's talk Gunners for a minute, because the reality was Arsenal were the laughing stock for the first couple of games in the season, got battered, looked the lost cause, and questions were asked about, is Arteta in the firing line? And rightfully so. But as you also said, don't judge us yet. Give us time, and time is what seems to be working for you guys. You're getting results, you're playing good and bad at the same time, but ultimately your defense is looking very solid and you're starting to build some credible performances. Talk me through that game against Watford.
Look, it should have been more comfortable than it was. 1-0's never a comfortable scoreline. I mean, even as an Arsenal fan, 2-0, 3-0 sometimes isn't comfortable, but at the moment, we're playing with confidence. Winning breeds winning, and we've got that culture around the club at this point. We're in tremendous form. In the last 7 or 8 games, we're first in goals scored, first in clean sheets kept. Now, I know that's a little bit of stat picking because that's when we started our good run, but it's quite phenomenal.
They're facts, mate. They're facts.
You look back at the start of the season, not only did we have a nightmare run, we did our transfer business late, as usual, but then we had COVID rip through the squad. So, I kind of always knew that those first 3 games weren't right. Was I furious about the nature in which we lost? Certainly. You only have to go back and watch the podcast after that, because I was furious. I didn't think we were respectable in those games, and that's the minimum expectation. But in Arteta's style, he hit rock bottom and he steadied himself, and then we started to look like we were going to go back to rock bottom, and he made the changes that we need. This happened last season. Emile Smith-Rowe couldn't get anywhere near our starting lineup until we chucked him in against Chelsea when we were sitting, I think, in 15th, and we saw that the kid could play. The fans have been calling out for it for ages. This season, Lacazette's come in and he has transformed the attack. The defence has been very consistent with Ben White and Gabriel. And Robbie and I always debate about Lacazette because I'm not his biggest fan. And I always say this, pound for pound, him or Aubameyang, I still feel Aubameyang's the much better striker. However, in this system, in Arteta's structure, you need someone with physicality, someone who's going to actively press the defenders, and someone who can hold the ball up. And that's Lacazette. The problem is we've messed up his contract and we're going to lose him because he's doing a great job in the system. So for me, our turnaround in form comes down to 3 things. The form of Emile Smith-Rowe, the way that our Lacazette has opened up our attack, and the fact that we've been picking the same back 4. We've been picking the same line of defence. We've been picking Aaron Ramsdale consistently. And you guys know, you've played football. Relationships, chemistry, trust, that's all so important in the defensive side of the game. And we're reaping the rewards. I'm not terrified about playing Liverpool at Anfield after the international break. Had you asked me after the first 3 games of the season, I would have tipped, double-digit defeat. But at the moment, I'm not saying that we're going to win it, but I don't think we'll be turned over like United were. Not with Gabriel and Ben White and Ramsdale doing their thing. So happy days for Arsenal. All happy days.
Well, I think this comment sums it up nicely, just how topsy-turvy a season can be. 1 minute, you're a nobody. Next minute, you're a somebody. And all of a sudden, you might have a manager and the next minute, they're fired. So, look, it's perspective's important here. It's match week 11. It's not even a third of the season. There's I dare say, the safest statement of the evening will be there'll be many more twists and turns, and who knows what's going to happen with Gunners, Chelsea or United. But look, you can only judge what's in front of you. And now that you've got a sufficient sample size to start assessing the Gunners' performance post the humiliation from City and the loss against us, but now they're looking the goods. It's early days. I was taking a look at the ladder. I'm sure we've all seen it. You have Arsenal in 5th spot, only 3 points behind second place City and 6 points behind first place Chelsea. Early days, nobody's saying you're going to go challenge for titles. But as we said last night on Down Under Football Crew, Scott, the next few weeks post-international break could be quite important for Arsenal and their credibility this season, because they've got some very tough fixtures with Liverpool and the very informed West Ham, United also battling for a top 4 spot. But Robbie, what do you think about Arsenal and where their trajectory is at the moment? Is it a bit of a flash in the pan situation, or are they the real deal at the moment?
You've got to say they're the real deal at the moment. 20 out of the last 24 points says, that's a fact. Like I said, in form, keeping clean sheets, as you said, and actually having a starting 11 that's very consistent. And like I said, starting to build a bit of a team chemistry. I still think some of their performances aren't, I don't think I've seen a perfect performance, if you want to say that, because, in the Watford game, Watford still had a few opportunities. Yes, Arsenal would definitely deserve the 3 points, but yes, they've kept a clean sheet, but they're still letting chances, they're conceding chances still, which maybe a more quality team like a Liverpool could, find through an Arsenal. But like I said, at the moment, they're getting the points, they're getting the results. They've shot right up, like I said, from coming last in the first international break. 2 international breaks later, they're in front of us with a 9-point head start. Yes, they've got some, like I said, a few big fixtures coming, like Liverpool, West Ham. I think we're in there after that as well. That'll be a big test. Just like I said, after the when we were talking about Tottenham early on in the season, when they were top of the table, we said they haven't really played a lot of people. They've got a few big games coming.
It was very
after
misleading, wasn't it? Those three
Yeah, well, I
Tottenham
don't-
games are so misleading.
100%. But I don't think Arsenal to that extent. Like I said, I think they've been playing well, but I think after those three big games come in, we can really judge, are they going to be top 4 challengers or are they just going to be where they are? So yeah, they're flying at the moment.
Yeah, and long may it doesn't continue, as I'm sure Scott won't agree. But look, mighty Moyes' West Ham United, 3-2 against the high-flying Liverpool. What a game! Even from a neutral point of view, we obviously had a massive conflict because we wanted them to lose. But tell you what, Liverpool's defence, I know we've been talking them up a lot in terms of their scintillating attack, but that defence and the supposed world-class keeper, and they've got an Alisson, he keeps making these mistakes a bit too often. And I do think in that, you talk about United having some issues in the middle of the park. I think Liverpool, they are looking a little bit vulnerable there and haven't really replaced the likes of Wijnaldum, in my opinion. So, and Firmino, he's a big loss for them. I know he doesn't get the praise that Salah or Mane, who's been out of form, but to me, they're looking a little bit vulnerable. The international break's probably come at a good time for them to reset and refresh, at least Klopp to get himself right. But at the moment, and Klopp, look, he doesn't know how to accept any responsibility. He's trying to blame the referees and deflect. He's a character. That's a side plot. But talk to me. I'll go to you first, Scott. What did you make of that game? And like yourselves, should we be taking West Ham seriously in this top 4 conversation?
Mate, it was an exhilarating match. It was, something that the neutral would absolutely adore. And I thought it was a great game. I saw Klopp's commentary after the match about that particular incident. Sometimes
he's hilarious. He's hilarious.
Sometimes you're better off saying nothing. You're just literally better off doing what Robbie's dad was doing earlier in the stream, standing at the back, just eat your chips quietly, watch the action, and walk away. Let it go. But Klopp feels the need to do that. I don't know if he does it to draw some of the attention and the heat to himself, potentially, or if he just isn't a great loser. But yeah, it was sensational. And West Ham keep proving the doubters, myself as one of them, wrong. They're doing a brilliant job, and Liverpool can't afford to have many more results like that if they want to be in this title race. So, yeah, exciting game.
Robbie, who do you think's... You see West Ham, they seem to be a team where they're thriving in confidence, and Moyes is at the fulcrum to all of that. But you look at the players in that team and, putting it lightly, you wouldn't call them necessarily a bunch of superstars, but they're playing like a superstar team. You look at Fornals, you look at Bowen, you look at Johnson, and you look at Cresswell, both good players at different stages in their career. But even, obviously, Declan Rice and Souček, to me, they are pivotal in terms of connecting back to front. But even Kurt Zouma, what an acquisition he's been. So, look, 100%. They just look strong from back to front. It's really hard to work out where their weaknesses are. Do you think that's more of a depth problem, or is it just the fact that teams haven't worked out how to sort of get around them at the moment? What do you think's the key to their success?
I think it's just confidence, if I'm going to be honest, man. Like, they're just flying on confidence. We all seen that this is not a fluke. Last year, they were pretty much the same last year. They could hold on for the last couple of rounds to get the big Champions League spot. But, mate, they're fighting on both fronts at the moment. Everyone, they're top of their table in the Europa League. They're firmly in the top 4 and beating some of the big boys now. And, I called this last week. I said I'm going to call the upset, but if you go back last week, I called a West Ham win here. And if you guys remember my prediction, I nearly hit the nail on the head. I said Angelo Ogbonna off a corner. Well, if you have a quick look on that one with Alisson, he got the own goal.
Well, speaking of predictions, Rob, the only thing that matters is top place at the moment in predictions, but people are improving.
Yeah,
I know.
Had a shocker. I think you got 2.
I'm getting a bit bored of dominating
and 5
everyone.
from Borgie this week. So
you know what? I look at this. I get a bit self-conscious about these every week, but I actually think a lot of the points are coming from you guys picking scores. I don't think I'm that far behind in terms of picking results, but man,
Borg, you
You're
picked
one
two
all
results this
Burnley,
week.
Chelsea. You're one all
You
Burnley.
picked two results this week, Borg. That's why you got good
Exactly.
points. You got 5 points.
That's why he was trying to spite me, and he actually got the score right as a result of trying to spite me. So,
that Chelsea
who said
one
that
was one of them
cynicism
as
doesn't
well.
pay off? I know, it's crazy.
Or was it that I used my tactical mastermind to actually predict it, but I thought I'd wrap my prediction up in some banter? Maybe it was that. Maybe it wasn't a lucky stroke.
Well, too, speaking of some banter, that 1-1 game against Burnley, that was a lot of banter. I've never seen in such a long time a team absolutely dominate 25 shots and only get one in. That is just inefficiency FC. It's the problems of yesteryear, and it's exactly the kind of reason why we bought the players like Lukaku, who was unavailable for this game. What I will say is, for any team, especially in the Premier League, just because of the wider distribution of even playing field, the longer games stay 1-0, the longer the other team develops self-belief. Burnley did nothing. This wasn't a game where they just strategically waited for a counter-attack and got anything. They were getting battered. We're getting a cry of, say, hey, credit to them. Credit to them. They took their chance.
You're
but on another day, I'm Burnley, mate. You can tell. But at the end of the day, Cho missed a good chance. Barkley sky one over the bar. Christensen, Thiago Silva both hit the post or just headed just wide. It was hilarious. It was just one of those freak occurrences that wouldn't happen 99 times out of 100. But you know what? If anything, it's probably a situation where they look back and say, hats off to the way we played. On another day, we're a bit more efficient in front of goal. But you just walk away with that result because ultimately we actually even gained an advantage on Liverpool, who lost to West Ham, but City clawed the gap to 3 points. But overall, hard to be upset about the performance because had we actually put some of them away, I'd actually rank that as one of our top 3 performances of the year. So, look, keeping it short and simple for the rest of it, unlucky result, great performance. Let's hope the international break doesn't get any more injuries because we're already doing our bit to manage without Lukaku, Werner, Kovacic. So what did you boys think? Did you catch any of it?
From me, you make your own luck. You know how I feel about that. It's not unlucky. It's poor finishing. Call a spade a spade. It's
the finishing was poor, but the actual game itself, good chance creation. I said that. It was just inefficiency.
It's become a little bit of a theme. Like, I know obviously you've got a lot of players out, but it's not like Lukaku was banging them in for fun before he got injured. He had he had moments against Arsenal. He did well in some other matches, but he kind of had gone quiet. So it's not like you're missing the consistency.
It was that type of team. His first 4 goals came from his first 6 shots. Like, that's from an efficiency angle.
But I mean, this seems to be a bit of a recurring theme with Chelsea. I just wonder if maybe you've got a lot of creative players, but being creative is great, but it's not even better if your creativity results in the ball going in. I'd wonder if someone like Gallagher would be helping you significantly right now. I mean, there are a bunch of other young players that your fan base hype up to the max who I just think are, bang average. But then you've got Gallagher, who could be doing a job for Chelsea. Absolutely could be doing a job. He should be there because you need goals right now. You don't need more creativity. You need the ball in the net. So
you also need balance, though. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah. Oh, look, I think with the Conor Gallagher one, again, he's on fire, but it's hard to just say and predict. Put him in that squad and he's going to do what Chelsea need him to do as well. It's just like, you look, I'll take Jack Grealish for a perfect example, okay? Because the $100 million man this year, mate, he's been a bit of a flop. 1 goal, 1 assist, and the goal pretty much bounced off him. He didn't even start on the weekend. Pep's given him plenty of game time this year, and he hasn't done not much at all. It just goes to show when he was at Villa and he was the big fish in the small pond, he was killing it. He was the one-man team. He was the Messi of Aston Villa. They take him out. Obviously, we've all seen what's happened to Villa and the coach now. It's not happening. They've spent 100 or the million that they got for Grealish, and it's not working. But it's also the reverse is happening. The big fish in the small pond has now gone into a big pond himself, and he's not doing anything. So I said Conor Gallagher is probably a great academy player, But obviously, for him to go on loan from the start, yes, he's young, but he hasn't obviously had the the caliber to get into the first 11. Yes, it's good that he's going to get some experience, perfect. But it's not to say that straight away he's going to come into that team next season and he's going to fix whatever problem you guys have. Yes, it's it could happen, but you can't just say, yes, he's doing good here, it's going to happen here. But
absolutely.
It's just, it's hard to say that.
And look, it's in isolation. It's in isolation too, because again, Kovacic has been arguably our player of the season. He's already on 5 assists. Both of our regular starting forwards are not there. Mason Mount just come back from an illness. And we still managed to absolutely dominate, like totally dominate. And Nick Pope, we missed a bunch of chances, but he was also had his game of the season. So, when you factor in all of those variables, we were bad in terms of finishing, smashed them, but also they were very resilient too in terms of Nick Pope pulling off blinders left, right, and centre. So, look, again, 99 times out of 100, we're talking about how Chelsea dominated Burnley, and it's not even a conversation. But for me, what's important, like how I talked up Arsenal in terms of coming back international break, we start off with Leicester. Then we've obviously got Manchester United away, which is going to be a cracker. We've got Juventus as well. So I wish it was easy. Nothing's ever easy in the Premier League for me. But for me, ultimately what matters is where we are. We're 3 points. We've got the cushion. We've conceded our first open play goal. And we just have to keep moving forward. Some people are saying Tuchel out for a bit of tongue-in-cheek, but you never know with our fan base. They're a bit crazy.
Tuchel out, Ollie in.
But, Ollie in. We should do a swap and see where we both finish the season. But, look, I want to talk about someone now that's been a bit of the news in the headlines, and that's Antonio Conte. He's returned. He's got his first point back in the Premier League in – I don't know. I thought it was a pretty cagey game. There was that controversial VAR overrule there of the penalty on Richarlison. To me, I think that was the right call. I'll put that on the table now. He got a touch to it, and that's all that matters. And I can understand if I'm an Everton fan why you'd be a bit salty. But ultimately, I just thought Conte, it's good to start off with some points and get some confidence boosting. Just some quick thoughts, Rob, on what you thought about that game and what do you reckon Conte more broadly?
Well, first of all, let's think. This guy's had 3 days to organise whatever he can. Don't forget that they also had the conference game as well after a day. I watched that whole game. That was a bit of a crazy roller coaster, to say the least. But this one here, I only got to see the highlights just because of the time in the morning. I think it was at 1 o'clock on Monday morning. I didn't get up for it. But I think you'll be happy with that. 1 point away at Goodison. He's got to start somewhere, mate. Like I said, I think the first thing he wants to do is probably shore up that defence. He wants to implement his system. It's not going to happen overnight. I'd say he'd probably be loving it that it's an international break now. He might be able to work with some of the players, get a little bit of extra time. Obviously, he's going to have quite a few on international break. But look, mate, I think he's got that Tottenham team. I think George said this a couple streams ago that there's quite a lot of players I think Conte can work with in that team. He might not get a lot of money in the next window to go and buy this person, that person. I think they've got the players and the tools to go and, better the team from what it is. So, yeah, look, 1 game in, look, they were unlucky. I think they hit the post really late on. There was a couple chances for both, but I'm pretty sure him and Spurs will take the point and away at Goodison, take it away and try and improve all coming weeks after the international break.
Scott, anything to add to that, mate?
No, mate, I actually didn't catch this one. I could think of nothing worse than sitting through Spurs ball with a defensive manager like Conte. I
hate that stereotype. He's not a defensive
mate, look, fortunately, this pod's not revolved around what you hate and what you like, Robbie, because I hate Manchester United, but we speak about them a lot, don't we?
But do you actually watch his system, or it's just a stereotype?
Nah. Just a stereotype, quite frankly.
That's what I mean. So I'll leave my case there.
Or almost like if I was to say the stereotype is the Man United fan wearing blue after losing a Manchester derby.
That's Italy jersey, mate. 4 stars. But anyway.
Let's 4 stars.
Hey. Leave the boxing and UFC for the other broadcasters.
Our Champions League. Oh, no, sorry. That's not enough. We need 5 stars if we're going to add our Champions League.
You hide behind that international badge, mate. I'll leave you hiding there. But no, quite frankly, didn't catch this one, but happy they didn't win because I don't want them to build momentum because they will. They're going to be a better team. They're going to be more of a threat. Harry Kane will start banging in goals. I don't care how bad his goal scoring tally is so far. He always does it, and he will.
Yeah.
But yeah, quite simply.
I just think my 2 cents on the whole Tottenham Conte sort of integration is that watch them post international break. It's not going to be like clockwork from match 1, but watch when we get through the festive period. What we're going to see is a lot more organised, fitter team, and I reckon with that they'll start breeding more confidence, and you'll get that extra 5% out of players like your Sons, your Kanes, your Højbjergs, your Reguilons, who I think is going to be super important under that wing-back system they play. I know, Robbie, you have similar thoughts. So I'm not going to sit here and say, they're going to be a team that's going to get your magnifying glass because they're going to make a run for a title. And the expectations are clear that that's not the standard. And with no pressure, they're a team that's going to be a real thorn in the side for many of our teams in the chat here at least. So for me, they're going to be someone that's going to be watch this space, because this season's not their season. But if they play well and you can convince a few key players to stay on, next season could be a bit of a boil over. But speaking of boil overs, a couple of other results that were quite surprising, I just wanted to get your thoughts on, just because we're not going to talk through all of them, because we want to really get to the topic of the night, being the Premier League manager axing swings its head over a few managers over the weekend. So that's been a boil over. But a couple of the results that we didn't touch on, and I'll read them out to you. Norwich secured their first win, 2-1 over Brentford. I was quite surprised, I have to say. Brighton, 1-1, should have really put Newcastle away. And Crystal Palace continue to do a madness and continue their great resurrection of form with a 2-0 win over Wolves, who I thought have had a pretty good season so far. So when I say those results, and Robbie, I'll go to you first, what stood out for you when I read them out? And do you have any thoughts on where Palace are in particular? I just want to focus on them at the moment.
Mate, Vieira, I thought that was the one that didn't call this one. But again, I think I've mentioned it the past few weeks. Is again a team on confidence, a team that's getting a lot of chemistry together. They've got a really nice style of playing. Who knows? I don't, like I said, I think they're pretty definitely going to be safe. And they might try and aim for maybe a Conference League spot, an 8 top 10. But, mate, they've beat some big teams. And like I said, Wolves, I think, maybe 4 wins out of the last 5. So they were definitely in form as well. So to get a clean sheet and to score a double against them as well, I think they're doing great. I think this one was the one that was the biggest. Yeah, like I said, I had the goal rush on the way home. And when, like I said, they were a bit lucky. There was some penalties and this and that against Brentford. Thought, there's a couple of losses for them now. They're starting to fall a little bit behind. But, for Norwich to get off the mark and finally get a win, and then obviously with the action of their thing, it was a bit of a weird situation considering how many losses they've had. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was quite interesting for me. I thought, it's, again, an isolation. It just happened to be that they won. It sounded like they already had their decision made up, because why would you pick the time when they win a game to get rid of him? So they're obviously already convinced to make that happen. But now's probably a good opportunity to really dive into that manager merry-go-round, because for us, I don't know what you boys think, and I say us, I'm assuming you feel the same, but it's been a crazy start to the season in terms of just how topsy-turvy the manager merry-go-round has been. Like last season, it was quite stable in an unstable environment, but now it's like a bit of a domino effect. One's fallen. It's really about almost who's the next one coming, not about who's going to keep their job for the next half of the season. So you saw Daniel Farke, he's gone. You've seen Dean Smith, Aston Villa, who we were talking up, and I'm guilty of it a few weeks ago, complimenting just how good Villa's been going. They gave us a run for our money. And you just thought they beat you, then they go and lose 5 games on the trot, and see you later, alligator. They gave him the old flick pass. So on one hand, I applaud Villa for taking decisive action for when they see something going wrong. Why what's the saying go, just like a Band-Aid, rip it off. Don't muck around with it. Don't try to repair it. Put the new Band-Aid on or get a whole new treatment plan. So Dean Smith, see you later. I still think he's a good manager and he did a great job for Aston Villa, but the Premier League is unrelenting. And I just think if I'm a Villa fan, I probably have mixed emotions about that. Norwich is probably a lot more understandable because they had a longer period of time of very disappointing results, not just results, but performances. Aston Villa seemed a little bit trigger happy, but from a business point of view, I can understand where they're coming from. Scott, what did you think about those snap decisions?
Yeah, look, I'll keep my thoughts on the managers pretty succinct. Dean Smith shocked me. I thought that was probably too early, considering what he's done with that team over the years. I thought that was kind of harsh. But it shows the level of ambition that Aston Villa have. They reinvested the Grealish money. They came in with high hopes. They'd become our fiercest rivals. Was brilliant for me to see him get sacked and to see Villa in the mud. So Villa probably a bit harsh. Farke, well, there was no alternative. They had to stop the slide. There's rumours about Lampard.
I was just about
Don't
to
know.
ask, yeah.
Don't
What do
know
you
if
think
he's.
of that, Arch, the whole Lampard situation?
Well, I'll just say firstly, I thought Daniel's an unlucky Farke, but it happens. It's just the Premier League, and that can happen in the bad world of being a top-tier manager. Frank Lampard to Norwich or Frank Lampard to Aston Villa? I'm hearing both, to be honest. That's on the grapevine. So for me, either option's a good one. Preferably, Aston Villa seems a safer bet because they've got better players, better talent, better chance of staying up and competing for something respectable. But you know what? Sometimes when it doesn't work out for you, his ending to his Chelsea version 1 manager reign didn't end very well. But beyond all of the short-term failure he had there, I thought he achieved some good things at the time. And I think beyond the poor form he had, he can do a good job at Norwich. And I think he's someone that's proven at Derby that he can take a bunch of fairly unknown players to overperform. And you've got the likes of Billy Gilmore, who I think would thrive under him. So it would be a massive challenge to get Norwich to turn their season around and survive the chop. But then again, we've known Frank Lampard one season at Derby go and taken over at Chelsea in a transfer ban and lost Hazard. Didn't mind stepping into the hot seat. So is it ideal? No. But when beggars can't be choosers is the message here. And if he gets in, and I think he'll do a good job. But he's not the only favourite in this spot. Who do you boys hearing on the grapevine for Norwich?
Now, I haven't heard much of anything, to be honest. I'm astounded that they pulled the trigger when they did, but haven't appointed someone. I assume that they gave him the job because they had someone ready. But it doesn't seem done. So they need to get their act together. I don't think that Lampard can get them out of the mud. I don't think he can get them out of the mud. Like Derby were one of the teams with a decent squad in the Championship. They weren't bottom feeders.
Yeah, they weren't terrible.
Yeah, but Norwich are terrible. And I just don't think if you said to me Big Sam or Frank Lampard for them, I would say take Big Sam. I'm not taking the mick. I think he's not that I think he'll get a gig, but he's probably better equipped to being in a dogfight like that than someone like Frank Lampard this early.
But is Norwich that bad because the playing group's that bad, or is it the way that they're playing? Is it a confidence problem? I suppose we'll find out.
Bad. I don't know if Robbie agrees, but to me, it's an awful squad. There was no investment. Like, they're just awful. I don't know if you feel the same, Rob.
No, I agree. Look, I think exactly. They get the big dollars from coming back into the Premier League, and they're just a club that, they didn't want to reinvest, and they're probably one of those clubs that they'll probably bounce back down, obviously this year, and then they'll probably win the championship the next year, and they'll get the $100+ million again, and continue to yo-yo. But look, I'm just looking at the table now. If they do get another manager and a little bit of a bounce, is it crazy? Like in 17th, Watford is only 5 points in front of them. Like before this win on the weekend, I was nearly going to say, yep, that's a spot in the relegation that's already gone.
Huge win, huge 3 points they got.
It's not crazy, man. 5 points, and there's what is it, round 11? So there's
27 games
to go. That's a lot of points up for grabs, and if they can get, especially Newcastle's on 5, Burnley's on 8, and then you like I said, Watford and Villa on 10. Stranger things have happened. If they do get someone in and they can get a bit of a bounce and some points here and there, it's still early days. Someone can save them. It is definitely possible. So we'll see.
Boys, I want to check you quick fire, even though we're not doing quick fires yet, but it matches a theme.
Hey, stick to the script, mate. What are you doing?
One word, just one word answer. Next manager sacked. Live chat, feel free to play along.
Next manager sacked. Benitez.
The next Premier League manager, Benitez. Robbie?
Wow.
You can't say Oli. It's like $1.
It's not. It's definitely not Oli. I
won't
think
be
he's going
him.
to last the season. No. I don't know.
Bielsa.
Bielsa? Nah,
Yep.
I think Bielsa's going to put a bit of a run together. I can't say Newcastle. Maybe, I don't know, Burnley, if they still keep hanging around there. Maybe Sean Dyche, maybe. If
They
he's
just
hanging
re-signed
around
him, though,
there.
didn't they? They just
Did
gave
they?
him a massive extension, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, Stone Cold Sean Dyche.
I don't know. If we're looking at at the table, it's not crazy, man. Like I said, Matt, you're saying Benitez.
Benitez.
I don't know. What's Everton's end game? They finish the same every year, round about the mid-table 10th. You know, they're sitting in 11th now. They've had quite a few injuries over the season. I don't know. They're not doing terrible yet. Look, after seeing 3 or 4 go recently, I don't think there's going to be another snap one anytime soon. I was hoping it was going to be Oli for obvious reasons, but it won't be him. So, yeah, I don't think there's going to be one for a while.
Interesting. Well, you
Scott?
speak of the...
You said Bielsa,
yeah.
didn't you? Yeah.
Bielsa, I think if they lose a few more games and they even drop into that bottom 3, they'll act. The problem with Patrick Vieira's caused a conundrum for a lot of these smaller clubs because Palace's roster is not fantastic on paper, but because he's getting a tune out of them and they're overperforming, you would say at this point, I think some of those other clubs that are meant to be around the bottom are kind of looking and saying, well, he's doing that with Palace. We want you to be doing something with us. So I think he's caused a bit of a conundrum to be fair.
Even Hasenhüttl, for a while, his season was starting off in a really bad shape, and they've really improved their seats, the Saints. And I like him. I like the way that the Saints play, and I'm glad to see that finally their performances are being rewarded with points because they are a good team to watch. But you know what? Obviously, the big story of the day was how about that Eddie Howe to Newcastle? We put out a poll before, and we got a mixed bag of results. But what do you guys think of Eddie Howe to Newcastle? Robbie, your thoughts?
Oh, if I was a Newcastle fan, it wouldn't excite me, man. I think that he's still going to have a bit of a job on it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think it's safe. It's safe-ish anyway. You know, it's stable. But what would they sign him on? It was a 2-3 year contract. Like I know they've got all this money, but you know, do they want someone short term? Do they want someone to keep him up this year and then maybe try and get someone bigger next year? Look, I don't know. He took Bournemouth down. He was pretty, you know, he kept Bournemouth up for quite a few years as well at the same time. I don't know, man. Everyone was hoping a little bit of a sexier name, as I like to say, than him. But we'll see. What can I say? For me,
who is the sexier name? There is no sexier name at the moment.
We're not saying someone like Fonseca compared to Eddie Howe. I think he would have been a little bit more attacking minded. Like I said, I think this is just a safe option to try and keep him up at the moment. But I don't know. If I was a Newcastle fan, it wouldn't impress me, to be honest.
Yeah. Scott?
Look, man, I think George has nailed it. If they go down, which could happen, but I don't think will, he'll bring them straight back up. He'll get them up here, and by then there'll be a manager who wants to come and play with their money.
Why? What's your reason for they're not going to go down? But we're nearly coming up to January.
I've said this on a few streams. I don't actually have a genuine footballing view as to why. I just think when I look at the ladder, I think Norwich are significantly worse. I think Burnley
3 points behind, so it's not that bad.
I think Burnley will drop. And I just have a feeling that Leeds are going to continue underwhelming. Sorry, Davide.
They did all right against Leicester the other day, I've got to say. They're a little bit, they're like Chelsea in terms of efficiency. But
yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's a gut feeling. But I do feel that Eddie Howe's
Is it
going
the
to
money?
be kind of sorry.
Is it the money that like the January window? You think they're just going to invest and get
Yeah, look,
themselves out, kind of thing?
if I'm the richest club football owner in the world, and the team that I've just purchased is that far in the mud that relegation's a massive probability in January, I ain't letting my club go down. Not when I've just bought them and I've got more money than other clubs will ever dream of having. They'll just go and throw crazy money at whoever they can to get them out of the slum. I genuinely think they will. They're not. I can't see them going down.
Yeah, interesting. Look, I think what's going to be important is this period between now and the transfer window, because if they're so far in the mud, who do you buy to just magically turn that around? Because it's not like Football Manager where you put a bunch of good players together and they start conjuring up magical results. So as long as they don't fall into a cosmic trap here, I'm with Robbie. I think they're in serious trouble here. But early days, again, match day 11, match week 11, let's not get too excited. But we can't help but getting excited. Managers are getting sacked left, right and centre. Ollie's at the wheel for another 25 years. It's all happy days here. So, look,
That's
boys, I think this has been insane. And the live chat's buzzing. I think we all love talking about managers and criticising them because we're all couch managers in some ways. But let's diverge now into the FPL. Scott, you're saying you had a bit of a good week, mate. How did you go? Where you rank these days, mate?
Look, let's chuck up the table. We've got Daniel Hill
on fire.
Moved up to first place.
Wow.
He hasn't been in a while.
84. Wow, that's a cracker.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at Dan's team. I know he won't mind. Great name, bang average player. But you can see there he's got Ramsdale, Cancelo, Alexander-Arnold, Reece James. So already he's made, 10, 20, 26, 33 points from his defence. He's
I'm
just
burning
had no...
about Cancelo. I took him out this week. I'm burning.
You should have listened to Dave De Silva, mate. He called it.
Yeah.
And then he had Foster on the bench too. So 11 points there. Well done, Dan. That's a phenomenal result.
Taught him everything he knows, mate. Definitely.
We've got Ben in second, Nick in third. Let's look for where the hosts are. Robbie, you've slipped a little bit to 12th. You didn't have a great week.
Yeah, no, bad week this week.
George, there's George in 18th. Where are you, RJ? You were above me now. I declared in 24th.
I think 54. I might be 31st or 32nd, something like that.
Yeah,
we are. Happy to be here. Yep.
54. Where am I? I've dropped now. I'm in the mud in everything. Tipping, but I got 83 this week. So
that's
I
a good score, yeah.
Very good.
I'm happy with my team. Sanchez let me down. I did play my bench boost this week because they were all playing.
Running out of chips already, mate.
So, yeah.
Yeah, massive.
Happy days there for me. And it's heating up at the top with Dan up there. So,
well, you know what? We're about to hit well, obviously, we're not about to. We're in and amongst the international break now. So, those that are FPL participants will no doubt be watching a close eye on their respective stars because, on one hand, this is how I think about it anyway. You want your good players to keep the momentum up. You don't want them to drop in form, or conversely, you want the ones out of form to play their way into some form and come back and give you some glimmer of hope. But the old chestnut in the room is you don't want anybody getting injured or getting fatigue issues. So for me, I look at my team, I'm pretty happy with the balance despite this week not getting great score. But I'm just really concerned. This international break throws a massive spanner in the works. What do you boys think about it? Any potential major changes or just wait and see?
International break, always wait to see if there's any injuries, anything like that. Wait till 24 hours before and then make some changes then.
All right, boys, let's hit some quick fires and then wrap this thing up.
Let's do it.
I'm going to throw my two quick fires at you first, live chat. Feel free to play along. We do know that we're at the end, so if any of you are going to jump out, just so you know, there won't be a show on Thursday night. The boys are having a night off with the international break. Probably play some pro clubs, Robbie. Hey, we'll get
all the Aussie games are 8 o'clock as well.
Yeah, follow our Socceroos or whatever. Yeah,
so there'll be no stream Thursday. Next Tuesday, we've got Simon Hill coming on to join us. So if you've got any questions, anything you want us to ask Simon Hill, please send them through. We'd love to see you in the live stream for him. He's a top-notch guest. And if you guys could do us a solid and retweet it, share it, promote it to your circles as well. A guest like Simon Hill deserves a buzzing live chat. So before we jump into our quick fires and then wrap it up, please keep that in mind. Mark it on your calendar. Next Tuesday, Simon Hill in the house. Boys, quick fires. Which current player in the Premier League do you think will make an amazing manager in 20 years' time? Which current?
Wow.
Oh, it doesn't even have to be the Premier League. Which current player do you think will make an amazing gaffer?
I'm gonna go for maybe someone in the city. You know what? Does it have to be a current player? You said, or could? Yeah. I'm gonna say David Silva. I think he's still playing at the moment over in Emirates or something. But just someone, a Spanish or someone like that, someone with a good footballing brain. So yeah, I'll go David Silva.
Love it. What about you, RJ?
I don't know. I'm sort of at a loss at the moment.
Do you want me to go first, mate?
Oh, if you've got someone in your head that you thought of.
For me, I think Cesc Fabregas. Confident, has played in some really big clubs. He has great knowledge of the game, great vision. So Cesc Fabregas for me.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Well, one player then I think with that sort of mindset that's been there, done that and won that is Bonucci. I think he's someone that could eventually go and do that. I think he's a very mature player. Claire said Jorginho. I originally had him because he's a super smart and sharp mind. I just wonder, the only thing that gives me reservations is he too much of a happy-go-lucky kind of person? It could be just his personality because he's playing, but he is a smart individual, and a lot of managers talk him up. So not a crazy shout by any means. Rashford's
I know Del Piero's just got his coaching badges just recently. So one day, I'd like to see what he does. Obviously, it'll be a few years before he gets a better job and gets there. But I think he'd have a good footballing brain, a lot of experience. He's won a lot of big titles, Champions League, World Cup. I'd like to see what he does one day as well.
Absolutely. All right. Before my next one, Emad, love it. Emad's pumped for Simon Hill. Of course, we'll have to ask him about the A-League with that kicking off too. So, again, do us a solid. Make sure you
go the Bulls. Go the Bulls.
That's it.
Come on, you Wanderers.
I'm going to bring a cowbell next meeting.
Tom saying you could see Ashley Barnes bouncing around clubs. That's a good shout too. Boys, from managers to food, you've got your burger, you've got your meat, you've got your buns. What are 3 toppings you would put on? Don't talk about sauce. Just 3 other things that have to be on your burger.
Easy. So it's got to be. I'll just give you my whole burger. It's got to be the meat. It's got to be the cheese. It's got to be onion. It's got to be egg.
3 things, mate.
Okay. No, mate, I loved a lot, but yeah, definitely eggs a big one for me. Egg, the onions and the cheese. Yeah, I think I've given you more than 3. So
yeah, mate. You
definitely
give
the
me
egg
about
one.
12.
Not pineapple or not beetroot. That's for sure.
All right, RJ, what about you, man?
Note to self: explain to Robbie what quickfire means. No, just G up. Meat, egg, beetroot. Done.
All right, okay. For me, being a big fan of Milky Lane, I'm going bacon jam. I'm going to be a little bit fancy. Bacon jam, a deep fried mozzarella patty, and let's be healthy. Let's chuck some lettuce on there, hey.
For you're a champion.
Did you get an IGA machine? One of those machines to check your heart while you're there, Borgie?
No, don't worry about that, mate. Don't worry about that. I know if Concierge of Crime watches this back, he'll love it. Calvin's saying jalapeno. Good shout. Bacon. Emad saying if anyone says tomato, you're dead to me.
They can unsubscribe as far as I'm concerned. Unsubscribe.
Has to be tomato for me. Has to be tomato.
Declared sharing some love. Doesn't need anything on top of my buns. They're nice and they're own. Well, thank you. Thank you, mate.
I'll go next, Borgie, because I did have on mine. I had on the burger thing. I had hot dog, meat pie, or hamburger. Which one would you go?
Burger.
Yeah, same. Robbie, where'd you go?
I like I hurried the wheels, man. I'm a big fan of a hot dog with all the chili con carne, the onions, all the stuff in it. Look, I like all of them to be honest, but I might go hot dog and I want just to be different. And this one, your favorite Batman.
Character, like actor that
Yeah.
played Batman.
Yes,
you mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Christian
Bale for me. Yeah.
Oh,
What about
I gotta
you?
go George Clooney. I was a big fan of Clooney.
You think so?
Certainly
Yeah?
not Robert Pattinson, who's doing it. He's going to be awful.
Oh,
From
well,
Twilight to
yeah,
Batman.
geez. I
What?
can't
The
imagine.
Twilight guy?
Man,
Yeah.
he went from Harry Potter to Twilight to Batman. Jesus Christ. I can't imagine him as a Batman.
Oh,
No,
boy.
no. RJ, you're up, man.
All right. Desert Island. And I'm inspired by The Office here. What 3 movies would you take with you if you were stuck on a deserted island for the rest of your life? Movies,
I love
not
movies.
shows.
This is
Do you want
hard.
me to go first, Robbie?
Does
I'm
it
happy.
have to be just 3 movies only? Can't be like a whole box set of movies?
All right, fine. I'll open it up. That's it.
Why are you giving
Could
them
be
a
a
box
box
set?
set. No,
Three
well,
months
that's
time.
one of them.
I'm
mate.
OCD, man. Have to watch. Look, I'll take my whole the MCU, so all the Marvels. I love them.
Oh, that's
I'll
too open, mate.
That's
That's
about
very
7,000
open.
movies.
I'll take Iron Man.
Okay.
Iron Man, Lord of the Rings. I'm a big fan of the Lord of the Rings, and I'll throw Titanic in there. I love Titanic, so I'll throw that in there as well.
Is that, you can just watch Manchester United, mate. You don't need to get the Titanic.
Robbie, make sure you draw me like one of your French girls, mate.
I will.
On the
What about
next
you, Scott?
Clubs night. For me, good question. I would probably go with Endgame, Avengers Endgame.
Classic,
I love seeing all the characters in one movie.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Classic.
Great shout, Anthony, by the way. Yeah.
I would probably go with I'll take Love Actually for the missus because I'm
No,
assuming
you're on
she'd
your
be-
own. No, you're on your own. Sorry.
Oh, it's just me. Oh, Scrap Love
Yeah.
Actually then. Oh goodness, what did I say first? Endgame.
Yeah.
Yep.
Avengers Endgame.
Maybe Step Brothers. I need something lighthearted.
Yeah.
And we will go with Superbad.
Yeah.
Superbad.
You stole one of mine. I'd go Superbad. So I'm going to have genres. Superbad.
Super bad. Yep.
I'd say Shawshank Redemption because I love that movie. And I would round off the third one. Yeah, that's a classic. Of course, the sport genre. But for me, if I had only 3, it'd be that. It'd be, like I said, the first 2. And I'd lock in lucky last one. I'd probably say, you know what? Godfather #1. I love the Godfather movies. The whole trilogy is unbelievable. And my last question for you, gents, is again, it's international round coming up. We're about to hit it. What is one goal that you really loved that wasn't actually a tournament winning goal, or like a defining goal? So just a random goal that you just first thing that pops into your mind that you love internationally.
Yeah, I'm sure you're reading my one. I think I've said it before in here. It has to be 06 semi-final against Germany. That Del Piero second goal, man. It has to be.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that defining? Because that wasn't the World Cup.
Yeah,
final.
I was trying to avoid some sort of like major tournament. Like I know they didn't win the final, it was the semi-final, but I was thinking like even just a random friend. It doesn't even have to be Italy.
one.
Okay,
All right,
all right.
no worries.
Well, look, for me, I'm going to go with the Socceroos on this one. I remember Super Dave Carney. Now we've got a mate who just loves Dave Carney. Could have been against maybe Nigeria.
I remember this one.
Yeah, I was going to go with Cahill, but I mean, I tried to keep it not iconic. Carney scored this banger from like just past the halfway line, and I remember I was watching it with. Well, it was just phenomenal. But I'd love to have more time to think about this one.
All right. Well, I'll give you.
got-
You got it now? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to split between. I don't know if you guys remember, all the way back Argentina, Batistuta, cracker volley from
Volley?
the box. And I did have another. Oh, yeah, another one was, I think, Euro 2012. Zlatan, bicycle kick on the edge of the
my
box.
God.
I think it was against France, bro.
It was England. No, it was against England, wasn't it?
England.
Yeah, when Joe Hart. That was my
Yes.
one. When Joe Hart came out and headed the ball, it was like 93rd minute.
This is a different game. That's a different game.
Okay.
Yeah, this one I think was against France. It was the one you're talking about was the football. This one was like a side bicycle kick, edge of the box, cracker goal. You have to check it out. Euro 2012.
Yeah, the one I was talking about was obviously the Zlatan one. Joe Hart heads the ball and he does that overhead kick in the top corner, 93rd minute. He takes his shirt off and Zlatan is a god. And the other one, if you stole that one, my backup option would have been Joe Cole volley against Sweden, I think it was, the chest, and he just curls it in the what a goal. What a goal.
This was a great shout, even though it was against France from Mo.
That's what made it better.
Yeah, well, not for me. Because everyone else chucked in about 5 answers, I'm going to add one more. I remember Thierry Henry scored a completely non-controversial and not iconic goal against Ireland to qualify for one of the world. No, mate, it came off his knee.
The hand of frog instead of the hand of God,
his knee, mate. But I love that goal. Everyone was so salty, but I didn't care because it was Henry and France. So that was a banger. Boys, it has been an hour and 5 minutes. Here I am sitting thinking, pretty quiet coming into the international break. It's going to be a quick one tonight. We might be done in 40 minutes. But here we go. Always, there's plenty to talk about. For those who maybe missed out or didn't hear, we're not doing a live stream this Thursday night, having a bit of a night off, watching the Socceroos too. Make sure you're here on Tuesday. I know I've said it a few times, but the numbers have kind of gone up in the last few minutes. Simon Hill on the pod Tuesday night in here live. Send us some questions if you've got some. The live chat's going to be pumping, and please make sure you share it with your networks because we would love to give him the opportunity to speak to as many of you as possible. And we're always interactive, so you're a massive part of this show. Your comments will be up, your questions will be there. And I know Simon will be pumped to see them. Boys, before we wrap this up, any closing comments, RJ?
Yeah, I just want to add on top of that. So we've been working hard in recent times to try to put out more content, not just video-wise, but be a bit more interactive on our socials. So you would take notice of the different polls and stories, etc. That's just our ploy to give back a bit more and try to share more information, not just invite you to the show. But ultimately, we'd love more of you to turn up so we can get a wider perspective. And I think it's safe to say between us, we have been working pretty hard trying to reach out to a few guests now. And hopefully you'll start seeing them, like Simon, drift in the IFT lounge room over the next month or so. So stay tuned.
Robbie?
Yeah, look, same as what you guys said. It'll be nice to have a night off on the Thursday, but still always good to interact. Can't wait for Simon, even though I think it's a bit of a stitch-up having a big City fan on after our massive loss. Can't wait to go over that one again. But look, again, thanks everyone, and we'll catch you next Tuesday night in the week.
Absolutely. All right. Take care. Be kind to each other and enjoy the international break. See you next